What's good, guys? Welcome back to Talking at the Movies Minisode. Yes, guys, me and Mom, we decided that we want to review Loki. The problem is, because of when we record the main podcast, whenever we post that podcast and we review Loki, we would be a week behind from what you will see. So it would just be frustrating. So we figured, we'll just do this as like a little, 10, 50, however long it'd be, little minisodes per week. So you get a little bonus.
And I don't get out of bed for anything less than 10K, Eddie. So make sure that money's in my bank account for these episodes.
Where's the money coming from?
All that money that you generate from this podcast.
What? We don't have no ads. No Blue Chew, none of it. All right. So, I'm Eddie Antonio.
I'm Mo.
And Loki, episode 1, Glorious Purpose. Break it down, Mo.
So, Loki, the god of mischief, finds himself out of time and in an unusual place and forced against his godly disposition to cooperate with others.
Okay, so first impressions.
So
much anticipated. You're really looking forward to this one.
Right. So this one, I don't really want to be this immature, but this I thought poops from a great height onto like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right?
Your hatred for Falcon and Winter Soldier is just insane. I don't care.
We are back at the level of quality from WandaVision. Something really crazy and kooky. This was very much
just love weird shit.
It's not that weird, but it's what I liked. It's so different from the films. It's not like this action pack like there is a bad guy, we must catch him. In fact, there was a nice little twist with who the bad guy might actually be.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but I just like the fact that A, it's different. B, they're bringing a whole new element into the MCU that I've never been heard before. The Timekeeper. I suspect most people have never heard of the Timekeepers. Yeah, it's something that's only
I'm vaguely aware of, so I couldn't even break it down if you were like, okay, explain the Timekeepers to me, Eddie. I couldn't, because it wasn't even, in the stories that I remember reading as a kid. I remember the Citadel, whatever it is they called it. Well, I guess we'll break down the basic setup of the show before we really get into those details. So I love the fact that we start with the Avengers. We had to show the endgame version of that Avengers when Loki does a runner. But I like the little things they added in, the little looks, the little close-ups of Loki. You get to see it from his perspective.
I thought that was a really nice touch. And you're kind of thinking, as it was happening, I was thinking, is this like new stuff? Are they just, or this like outtakes? Was this exactly how it happened in Endgame? It's been a while since I've seen that. So we'll be doing that.
Just the close-ups that was new. Yeah, we're also doing, if you're just stumbling across this, we're also on the main podcast doing the MCU rewatch. So right now, we're up to the point of, we're about to watch Infinity War, right?
Yes, Infinity War this coming episode.
So far.
So I really like the way that this whole thing just kicks off, right? You've got like Loki being Loki, like he's basically just picks up the Tesseract, thinks he's, senses that he's won or has an opportunity. What I really don't get is in the original timeline, why didn't he just do that anyway, Tesseract or not? Like, why didn't he just like...
He couldn't because he had the powers that he had, the collars, the restraints.
Right, so I was
his powers.
That.
Yeah,
so
using his abilities.
Right, so they have tech that can suppress his powers. I was wondering.
It's Asgardian tech. Remember, Thor takes him into custody. He was going to take him back to Asgard.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's actually the Tesseract that he's using to step through time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's what Tesseract was, isn't it? It was actually, I can't forget what each one of the Infinities was. Was it the time and space one? I'm not sure.
I'm assuming it must have something to do with time and space, right? Because he literally went not just through time but space as well, because that does not look like North America circa whatever year it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I've heard people say, my quick little look up, some people say it was supposed to just be somewhere in like, I don't know, the Asian desert somewhere, in the Far East, but the very green screeny. But then that's when we're introduced to let's just call them the Time Cops. I think their official name is like the Minutemen, which has been used various times in various other properties. But in this, it truly makes sense that they're called the Minutemen because they police time.
Yeah. So you almost kind of feel like you're watching, is this like Time Cop? You expect to see like Jean-Claude Van Damme any moment.
That would have been a genius hire. If instead of the woman that they had, what's the name? Wound Me. Instead of her, they had actual Van Damme. That would have been hilarious. But yeah, what did you think of these time cops and their abilities
So
and
it kind of seems like they're incredibly powerful, right? And you kind of wonder. Well, straight away you're just wanting to know more about them, right? Because they tell you the backstory of the actual timekeepers about like how there was one timeline and then how it just all sort of like
massive
went,
war?
yeah. And you kind of think, is that something that they're setting up for the next film? Is that just a throwaway line and we're never going to get to like see that backstory?
I think no, because that's the whole point of them existing, is that they're making sure that doesn't ever happen again.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. It didn't exist. They didn't exist. This sort of association. This war happens, and then they decided, screw it, we can't let this happen again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just something that they're referring to that in some.
Well, I mean, the Doctor Strange movie is the multiverse, right? Because it's kind of thing. Are we going to see them pop up in here or not? Or
yeah, I'm curious because obviously they like to work the film so that you don't necessarily have to watch. I'm presuming you won't have to watch the shows for the films to make sense. But you know how Marvel is, they put in a little Easter eggs for us to actually follow it all.
Yeah. The other thing I really love was the fact that even though Loki thinks of himself as this like god, he was just getting like bullied, right? Sign this, take a ticket.
Yeah,
be quiet.
No one fears him. His powers don't work.
Yeah,
and
his powers.
Yeah, okay. From what I know of, this place that he's taken to, the reason why it isn't affected by, I guess, like the Thanos snap and all of that, is because it was built at the end of time, at the end of all time.
Right. So it's at the end of time. I was thinking maybe it was like in a temporal bubble outside.
Pretty much, yeah. It kind of exists in a bubble, but it was created after everything else in the comics, at least from what I remember. So yeah, so that's why they have, later on in the episode we see them with like a drawer, Infinity Stones in a drawer, because from various other timelines, and they just don't mean anything here because and
they're paperweights.
yeah, that was hilarious. I like that because it basically does. It's like just wiping the chessboard clean. Like everything else, whatever with high stakes up to this point doesn't matter anymore. Time beats everything.
Now, so if you just talk about that moment for a second, I actually interpreted that moment incorrectly, because when he saw all those Infinity Stones, I suddenly thought, maybe is he having an idea that if he could essentially get to the top of like whatever this organization is called, he could run the entire universe. Because remember, he has that conversation with Owen Wilson, right?
Yeah.
He goes like, so you become king, then what do you do? Oh, you become ruler of this and that. Then what do you do? But if you could rule all of time and space.
True, but I like that they sat him down and confronted him. He didn't believe it for a long time.
Yeah,
but I do like it's like those episodes in a sitcom, those filler episodes where they kind of go back and show all the old episodes.
the clip
clips.
Show.
Yeah.
The one that I really hate. I really, really hate clip shows.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, my mind always goes to the Fresh Prince one. For some reason, I don't know why. But yeah, they basically just kind of show. And this is another thing. This is why it pays, and especially for us rewatching the films, it pays off watching all those other films, because you get to see his reaction to stuff that even hasn't happened yet. Like in what was the second four?
Oh, so they were showing off like his mum in Dark World.
Dark World, that was it.
Yeah, what happened to his mum? They were showing what happened to his dad in like Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking that must be quite a gutting thing to see, really. I'm being told that you're responsible for it, but this is where shit gets a little bit crazy, right? A bit difficult to understand, because by the end of the episode, you're told he can never go back. So how do those events happen? Is like Loki now gone, or is he just gone
separate
from one timeline?
He's a deviant. So the timeline is here. He's this deviant of a timeline.
Yeah.
So that is already being corrected by what happens in the Avengers. This is just this other string that's going off that they have to get rid of, eliminate. Usually they eliminate these alternate strings.
Okay, so let me put this to you. So he has a Tesseract. He steps through a time portal or whatever. Are you then saying that happens in just that timeline, but in the regular timeline, he never did that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to remember Endgame, but when that happens, when he disappears with the Tesseract, they have to then go back and find an alternative Tesseract further back in time and bring it and acquire it in order to get that, Infinity Stone that they can make their version of the gauntlet. So yeah, he's just off on his own little. So it doesn't really matter. It's like a little loose string that they have to snip.
So are we going to say that anything happens in Loki doesn't matter?
Possibly. That is what you deal with when you're dealing with time. You can't just kind of fuck around and do what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
But beside that, we got about Owen Wilson. It's been a while, I think, since he's really done much. I know he's had a bit of hard times. Yeah.
Issues, yeah. Heartbreak. Did some crazy
drugs,
things.
Alcohol.
Yep. I heard a funny story about this, that when he took on this job, never seen any Marvel films, couldn't be bothered to watch them all. Yeah. So he just got Tom Hiddleston to sit him down and just explain it to him rather than actually sit and watch him all, because it was just too much of a daunting task.
What? Imagine going for a job interview saying, I've never studied this subject before. I'm not going to, but if you want to give me a quick 101 course,
so
I'll do the job.
Can you imagine that conversation that Tom Hiddleston has to sit him down and explain the entire MCU and what has happened up to this point?
That's not necessarily the bad thing that some people may say to. If you look at Nicholas Meyer, he had never seen an episode of Star Trek when he directed the Wrath of Khan, but at least then went and watched like selected episodes.
Yeah, and at least he had a script that he could interpret.
No. He wrote that script.
What? Oh, that is a crazy head fuck.
Yeah, imagine a guy who's never watched Star Trek pretty much wrote and directed like the best Star Trek film,
and to consistently make sure the characters are those characters, the acts. Oh man. So so we see, when we first see Owen Wilson, it looks like he's correcting one of the little deviant time strings. Yep. It looked like a Joan of Arc type situation in the church, the little French girl.
Did indeed, yeah.
I
did get a little bit worried at that point, but I thought, this is a Marvel show, they're not going to do that. But I suddenly thought, when they say like, they got a phrase, correct the timeline or something like that, and they set that little digital bomb or whatever it's time. You're kind of thinking, are they like killing people or something? Because obviously there are people who have now seen like people stepping through a time portal with like all this advanced technology.
But it just corrects the time, so I don't think it just rewinds.
Oh right, so I was wondering if it was something like that. If
that's what I presume. We don't physically see what happens. We just see this kind of the bubble go out and then it just kind of cuts away. That's what I presume.
That's some pretty mad technology then, if you can rewind time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they can actually, because they've got the remote control, right? And they do it to Loki all the time.
Yeah, like they exist outside. They're given the powers from the free beings that control time itself. Yeah. Raises the stakes.
I bet you this whole series is going to be an absolute mind and head, like just as you try and understand everything.
Yeah. What did you think of that little flashback when Owen was breaking down about how good Loki is at escaping, and you kind of see that little James Bond type thing on the plane?
The DB Cooper.
Yeah.
do you know? I'm assuming you know the story of DB Cooper and all that, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. That was brilliant. I was actually hoping they might do like 1 or 2 more.
I wonder. I'm just curious because I haven't watched a lot of the trailers. I think maybe only 1 or 2 little short ones. So I'm really and I'm happy I am in the dark about what sort of adventures he's going to go on from here.
That's terrible.
I love it.
Terrible.
It's good. Oh. See, I get to watch it with virgin eyes and see that. Oh, I didn't expect that, rather than figure it out. Yeah. So after Loki goes for a little runner, tries to, and he ends up going back to the room to watch, his future, and he goes right to the end and sees his death. I guess it all kind of clicks where he finally believes that, this is real, because he doesn't believe up to that point. And what has my life amounted to?
Yeah, he also mumbles stuff about like just having no real purpose.
Yeah. This stupid desire to be the ruler of everything, and it doesn't. He just ends up getting his neck broken.
I'm trying to remember. I'm guessing at this point in his life, he has no idea who Thanos actually is.
I would presume, but then at the same time, maybe they know what Eternals are. Right. Thanos being one of those, so maybe.
Yeah.
Guess they don't really ask that question.
Yeah. I thought it was also really interesting, right? That like in the first Thor film, they basically tell you what you call magic is what we call science.
Yeah.
So when they're looking out that window and they see like all this advanced technology, he says, but I thought you said magic doesn't work here. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was a good point. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah. Oh, what was it I was gonna mention? Oh, I'm blanking on it. I'm blanking on it. So we then get revealed by Owen that the person that they need him to help them stop this other deviant being, I think they call him deviants or something else,
Yeah.
that are perverting the timelines, is in fact him. Now I'm hearing, is it a spoiler to say this? If it's just like a theory?
Well, it's not a spoiler because it's not. It didn't happen on the screen. You're
Yeah,
you're
yeah, it's a
theorizing.
theory. Yeah, and I think it's from some stories in the comics. But because you're dealing with multiverses and alternate timelines, the alternate version of him, the reason why we didn't see them clearly at the end, because they were like cloaked up, is that it's a female Loki, a lady Loki, which does exist in the comics. So
And
that's
that's just an alternate timeline, Loki.
yeah. So it's Loki, but it's just not Tom Hiddleston Loki, which I think is a good thing because yeah, he kind of mix it up with different actors. It would be cool to see him be another version of himself, but to kind of mix it up and have another
Well, that's the
complete
whole
version.
point. That is the whole point of the multiverse, right? Basically, any possibility can
Yeah,
exist.
exactly. So he's kind of going up against the ultimate foe, the female
Yeah.
version of himself. So that could be real
Now,
cool.
I'd imagine in real Loki ways, imagine like if he kind of like falls in love with like his alternate self.
You're amazing. You're beautiful. Side by side. But two Loki, you can't trust one Loki. You definitely can't trust two of them. They're just gonna
Oh,
stab each other in the back.
yeah.
Do you feel that Feige gave a middle finger, the final middle finger to Perlmutter when they were going through like, Loki's past actions, and then they got up to the Coulson part about killing Coulson. It's like, but he's dead. And then they could have said, yeah, he's not though. He came back, but nope, they just dead.
I was waiting for that. I really was waiting for them just to put that. But he's not dead, and they didn't. And
Yeah.
I as a fan of Agents of Shield, was really disappointed with that.
No, that's Feige's lap. F you, it doesn't exist. Not in my world, not in my universe.
Because that also then means there's very little chance of him, say, possibly coming back for there's the Sam Jackson show.
That's
Sam
true.
Jackson.
So I would like to see him back, and I would also like to see Sky was that character? Quake. I liked
Quake.
her. I liked her.
I'm not really that much about Quake, but the two scientists, I thought they were really good.
Yeah,
Fitz
that would be fun. Even just to have them like cameos in the
Yeah.
background somewhere. I would have always wanted that, man.
Yeah.
And even Ghost Rider. I actually grew to like Ghost Rider. They're Mexican Ghost Rider. I actually did grow to like him. So it's a shame that he ain't never come back either. But I was, to be honest, at first when it started, wasn't clicking into it. But once they got to that point where he was just sitting him down, showing him the alternate, the other events of his life, that's when I really kind of, I'm interested in this now. So
this has got a very different tone and tempo.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where it goes from this point on. Very curious.
So how excited are you on the sort of excitement scale after having seen one episode?
Yeah, I'm just very excited and interested in seeing where it can go from here because, possibilities are endless. They've got the keys. They physically have the keys to the multiverse. They can just pop up anywhere, anything. Like, who the hell knows? They could pop up in other Marvel things that have happened. Like, there's people saying that Agent Carter, Peggy Carter, was in the background of one of the scenes. Not sure.
Really?
Not sure. Personally, I saw a little still of it. Maybe. Time will tell. But yeah.
Yeah, I do need to watch for like one of these like breakdown videos, where they take you through all the things that you missed.
Yeah, apparently there's a shit ton of Easter eggs in this, a ton of them. But yeah, man, possibilities are endless. Can't wait.
One last question to ask you: how do you feel about this being on a Wednesday? Do you feel as though like your entire week has now been thrown off?
Yeah,
presumably this will happen on a Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Because the fact that we're doing this as a bonus episode, just shows it. More work.
Yeah, next 6 weeks we're gonna have to do this.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. Oh well, but looks fun. I'm into it. We'll see where it goes from here.
2 thumbs up from me.
Definite. Yeah. I want to see where it goes. But I like this quirky side of Marvel. I still enjoyed Falcon the Winter Soldier. Don't get me wrong, but I do like it when they do get, they let the imagination run wild. I was a hater. So any final thoughts before we bounce?
No, the only thought that I have is why, damn it, Disney, can you just not drop all 6 episodes in one go?
Yes, the discussion.
Yeah, and I tell you what, that it's so different from like Falcon. Like Falcon, I was like almost had to make myself watch it in time to do the podcast. Whereas this, if all 6 were here, I've watched them all last night.
Damn. All right, guys. So episode 1, Glorious Purpose, which was the line which she actually says quite a bit. And I think he originally says it in the first Avengers movie. I have glorious purpose. So I like that callback. So yeah, episode 1, thumbs up. Where does it go from here? What do you think's in store for this show? Let us know. Mo, how can I get in contact with us if they wish to do so?
Right, folks, if you want to email us, we are at TATM Podcast. If you want to tweet at us and tell us all the things that we missed, we're at Talking Movies 3. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are Talking Movies.
That's right, guys. And don't forget the main show, Talking About Movies. Go check it out. This is on the same feed. So, if you found this, you find that. So, from me, the Reese.
And me, Mo.
Catch you guys next week. Later.
See you, folks.